Um, Hello, viewers. Welcome to Fellowship of the Golden Age. With me this morning, I have Timothy, a friend from over in the Philippines, I think. So, hi, Timothy. How you going?
Hi, Neptune. I'm doing great.
Yep.
Uh, Great Sunday morning today.
Lovely. Okay, Timothy. So we'll, as usual, we'll open up with a question about could you give your description of what a separate self is?
Well, generally, for me, I see a separate self when I feel that there is a reaction in me. So anything that's you know le- leads me not into oneness. Uh, it's quite it's, it's quite a vague answer, I think, but. For me, something that induce a reaction, basically, like that's a separate self.
Yep, yep. I
Yeah.
got you. Okay, so can you give an example of a separate self, like a relatable example?
So I would give like before when I was driving, I'm really angry when people cut me through or honk at me, and I can't move forward because there's a car here. But generally, I actually it became like the first separate self that I was testing. So after a while, I tried to see that reaction and see, is this really me, or is this a self that is making me have this angry reaction, which is actually not hurting the other person who I am directing that anger, but hurting myself. So what's the use of being angry in traffic or when people cut you? So I guess that's the easiest example that I can think of right now.
Yeah. And that's a
What?
pretty common one for a lot of people who drive.
Yeah, especially in Manila where the traffic is really bad.
I bet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and like motorists would not follow instructions.
Yeah. Yeah, and honestly, I tend to draw out like driving my bus, I tend to draw out other people's angry separate selves, because I drive slowly and they just, yeah, they get so angry with me. Like, so for
Yeah,
me, it's more I've got to transcend the reaction of like feeling upset, like because some people get very abusive and it's not nice. But yeah. Yeah, I've got to transcend my any reactions to people's anger or whatever it is they project at me. I just
yeah,
it's your
yeah,
problem, not mine.
yeah. That's also a separate self. So
Yeah.
and when I started the path as well, there was this separate self that's telling me, "Oh, that's heresy," because I don't, yeah, I didn't have an introduction. So in the Philippines, we're predominantly Catholic. So I grew up in a sort of very Catholic family. I was raised in a very Catholic family who goes to mass every Sunday.
Yeah.
Uh, so it was really hard for me to transcend that separate self of. There's always this voice saying, "What are you doing? That's heresy. Who is Astrea? Who is Astrea?" Because
Yeah.
those were favorite invocations, Archangel Michael Astrea.
Yeah. Because that's like a big collective self, like partly a Catholic collective self, but also within your Filipino culture, like as
And
well.
but I do feel, when I transcended that self, and mind you, I didn't have like outside, so well, not outside myself help. Like I didn't go to a psychiatrist or sorry, a psychologist, but when I think when I transcended that self of thinking this is a heresy. This is no, what you're doing. This is evil. I think it helped raise the consciousness here. I feel it did,
Mm,
with more people going on to challenge the Catholic ideals. I had a Catholic education from kindergarten, even up to medical school, because I went to University of Santo Tomas, which is really it's run by Dominicans, and Dominicans, are very, very, very traditional Catholics, unlike other orders like the Jesuits, which are more liberal.
mm. So what went through your mind? Like, how did you rationalize that, it wasn't heresy? Like, what was your thought process?
Well, we're kind of getting ahead of ourselves, but I think that it's part of my journey. Wherein it was a time when I was feeling down, and this evil or this energy is bringing me down, and then it took me a while when I said, okay, um, I'm just gonna say this invocation, Archangel Michael, and then when I did it, suddenly everything went clear. So maybe I'll expound on that on the next question.
Oh, okay.
But I guess even at that point, I realized that when I finished it an invocation, I had suddenly noticed a sort of awakening, or like clarity of thought.
Mm-hmm.
So even with this, that was my first invocation. Then I do generally the Archangel Michael, Astrea, Saint Germain personal invocations, and there would be this voice. But what held on to me was that fact that when everything was at my lowest point, and I I did the Archangel Michael Rosary invocation. It really gave me so much clarity that I said, okay, this must be real. And slowly, that voice, I guess the separate self connected with that voice that I'm hearing
Mm.
is slowly dissolving. So now I don't it's not really a voice per se. It's more of like a thought,
Yeah, yeah.
no longer there. I guess I've dissolved that to well, I'm not sure if it's really not there, but I guess I've resolved it to a large degree. That that self that says that what anything that's outside Catholicism is heresy.
Yeah. And I think it's worth like it's just showing me it's worth sort of illustrating that when we do these invocations, what they're doing is they're giving us a break from the separate self and its influence. So we get the clarity because we're not being influenced by that separate self. And like once we get the clarity, like it's like being pain free in a way, like, taking away pain in the body or whatever it might be. We're taking away pain in the psychology and we can, and then this clarity, it's like, oh, and it's really obvious when we don't have that influencing us. You're just like, oh, I see. Like it makes sense.
It's like I think that's the biggest jump that I have was that before the invocation and then after the invocation. So that Archangel Michael Rosary is around 40 minutes, I think. So
Mm,
just an hour, and I can see the difference of my train of thought of what I'm feeling. It was really surreal. I think it won't be replicated because you know with the teachings, I know I've raised my consciousness to a certain degree, and I don't anymore have that very, very like phenomenal jump from this state of consciousness to this state. It's more gradual now. So I
yeah,
really but that experience itself, I think, gave me the impetus to continue because I experience it like um I can never explain what happened to me in that hour. Like clearly or with words, but in myself, I know what transpired in my inner being from not doing the invocation, then doing it for an hour, and that sense of clarity. And I guess now, because of the, it's really hard to explain what happened. It's really the experience that's really very crucial to me pursuing this path. Because if I think if I didn't saw the results, I might not, uh, I might not be very convinced of the path.
Mm.
Because after that initial clarity, then there would be again lots of, again, separate self, because I can feel the reactions in me or thoughts going into my mind. But what happened to me during that initial hour of doing the invocation was really phenomenal. I really cannot explain it with words. That was the biggest jump that made me continue in my path, in my spiritual journey.
Yeah, exactly. Like we can talk about it all we want, but it's not until we experience like, oh, it really does work. Like, and so anyone watching and they want us to convince them like we can't. Like it's like it's only
You really
until you
can.
actually honestly, openly say yes and I'll try, and then you're like, wow, something
Yeah.
works here.
So
Uh,
actually, I've sent like because they noticed my transformation and said, "Oh, what happened? What did you do?" And I would give them the dictation of Jesus regarding stop rejecting my gift to you, because I think that's the closest thing you can give to a Christian or a Catholic to
okay.
help, at least be open to something that's outside what is taught by the religion. And to this date, only one was able to experience also what I experienced. And I think she messaged, she was very thankful for your answer in the Students of Ascended Masters group.
Yeah, okay.
It was really like, even if we try to explain, and with this interview, I think will help future spiritual seekers on what to expect. It's really more of an experience, and it's always very personal to each of us. And
Mm.
like I said, like I think many people, um, well, the people that I talk to, they would just be lost and looking for some purpose, and they found this website. But for me, it was really a very, very, very dark part of my life. Like I would say, up to till now, it was the lowest part of my life. But I think that was really very necessary. I think the School of Hard Knocks, because if I didn't went that far down to the path, I wouldn't, discover the teachings, and I would not have dismissed them. I mean, if I was comfortable, I would not, even touch the teachings, because I was a very, very Catholic person, and I would be like, I would judge silently people who don't go to mass every Sunday and say they're Catholic. So I guess it was that very, very down state of mind, or state, that I was actually open to the teachings, and I'm very thankful for that experience. Even
Mm.
though those people who hurt me, it's actually turned into a much, much bigger blessing, and I'm really.
Yeah. Well, so how about you go on now and just start sharing about your journey so you can bring some more context
Yeah,
and
yeah,
detail to
yeah.
it.
Okay, yeah. So 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 I've already told everyone that I came from the Philippines. um I grew up in a very uh, Catholic country. So um, I have this same-sex attractions that I really try to dig deep. I mean, like I bury it deep because you're a Catholic, you cannot engage in homosexual ideations, deeds, or thoughts because that's a sin. Basically, you're gonna end up like Sodom and Gomorrah. So I really dig them deep. It was just during my residency years as a medical professional, training years in medicine that I experienced this more strongly because I was trying to bury it, and I had relations with my co-resident who actually had a girlfriend at the time,
Mm,
and it was really it's just like I was because of that I was hiding all these homosexual desires and ideations that it just burst through, and then and then at that point, I was thinking it's after we do the act, I would think it was a sin, it was something that's not of the Lord's, and I would pray and confess, and anyway, it will just be like a cycle of doing the act and then having the guilt. It's really bad, but after a
mm,
while, like he did not want to do it anymore because he's feeling guilty with his girlfriend. And then I think at this point I was, I was, what do you call this? I was hooked into it, and I even tried to hire like a witch doctor or something to make a love potion or something so that he would want to have sex with me again like that.
mm,
And it just went down because this witch doctor or this witch was really a fake and was just would tell me I'm gonna make this ritual, so you have to pay me like this for the materials and for that, and it will just continue. So I've lost a lot of money, like so much, like my savings during residency. I don't know. I'm a very thrift. I was a very thrift person. I was very frugal, but at this time, I think it was just these entities because of
yeah.
this desire for sex, and then so it was really a lowest point because I was like funneling my money towards it, and then I keep she keeps promising, and there were some results, but I guess with this, I think the other person would have still sexual I know would have sexual desires still, even though he feels guilty of having a girlfriend. So there would be some results, and she would the witch doctor would reinforce that and would again ask for some more money for that, and it went on until I have no more money. And then I said stop. But again, after this time, my grandmother, who I shared the same birthday, was sick, and I think she saw something. She saw that there could be another opportunity because I was not willing anymore to spend for this love potion or whatever with this other person. But she saw that I was very worried about my grandmother. So I think she shifted to my grandmother. So she was very at a point where like my mother had savings for me who was in time deposit. So I cannot move them. So I went to the bank, and I know it's under my name, paid the fee for withdrawal time deposit, and then again funneled all that money. So I actually lost everything. Like
Wow.
because of that. Um, and then at that point, I know I was going weekly to my because my residency in Manila. I started my residency training. That's a medical subspecialty training in Manila. But my parents live here in Naga City, which is an 8-hour drive. So in the weekend, Friday, I would take the bus and then see my grandmother. And the weekend it was very tiring, but I really love my grandmother, and I think it was really a very it's also my attachment to my grandmother was also put to the test here because you know um, she raised me and we shared the same birthday. She always takes care of me when I was young. It's really hard, letting go and this witch doctor promising that she will leave if I do this, do that. There were some rituals she wants me to do it. She wants me to pay her to do also some sort of ritual. So anyway, all of my money was lost until my grandmother recovered for a while actually, and well, she attributed it to her work, and to all the rituals that she'd done. But at that point, I was really at a loss. I was having no money. It was my last year of specialty training in ophthalmology in my field, and it was really affecting my work and affecting me personally. And then, like at night, also, I could feel like this entity hugging me. I was always not sleeping well because in the middle of the night, I would wake up and there was this entity hugging me. I could see some red eyes in front of me. So it's only when I try to move first, but I can't. Then after a while, when I move, then that entity seems to release. So later on, I think I did some research, and it was a incubus or a succubus, because I was having all this sexual energy in myself, and that I
Mm.
cannot release. I don't know what to do, and then generally what happened is I was looking at websites. I actually at this point I gave up because I was trying to um, uh, I gave up on trying to seek help through the uh, Catholic route, because of the game of the guilt, the shame also. But I was searching through the internet and I came across, the Great Invocation, and then about teachings on the Summit Lighthouse, and then, but when I type about how to overcome evil, and there was this answer from the Ascended Master answer website, how you should not combat evil. You just accept that there is evil, but you say that you do not have power over me. But I cannot do that personally because I said, oh, how can I do this? And then that website, after a while reading it, actually I was still in touch with this witch doctor, and he said, oh, you stop reading that, you only stay here, which was actually different what she was projecting, because she said initially to widen my mind, not be be confined to the Catholic faith. So that actually made me open also to viewing the other religions, because she said, this is not a Catholic uh, ritual, so you have to be open. And now she's contradicting herself because she does not want me to read, because I was telling her about the answer about how to combat evil. I think she was on to it already. But I didn't actually for like, I don't know, 2 3 weeks. I was following her instruction, but it was a point already that I was so down. Like I even owe money because I borrowed. It was already at that point that I borrowed money to pay her. So it was really very bad already. So I said, okay, I'm gonna just do the invocation. Whatever happens, this is just 1 hour of my time. So it took me 3 weeks before deciding to do that invocation. But the jump from that point when I decided to do the invocation, and then after, oh, I said to myself, why am I so dumb? I'm actually a very frugal person. That's why I save a lot from my 3 years of training. I didn't spend that money, and now it's all gone because of just this sexual desires, or plus the my trying to bring back my grandmother from a grave illness. So it dawns on me that this witch is actually just extorting me for money.
Mm.
And then because she would make deadlines like you have to do this before like this, like that. So she was doing that again. She was calling and I was not answering, and she actually messaged me about, if you don't answer, if you don't, your grandmother will die
Oh.
soon. Yeah, but that point I was already clear that she was just extorting me, and I said, and it's also because it's also in the teachings. I've read it because it's been like 3 weeks to a month reading the Ascended Master answers already. So I realized that I have to let go of my attachment to my grandmother already. But at least I still have the attachment, but in my like intellectually, I know I should get rid of that attachment, but I still have it physically and emotionally.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but I think it was really very painful. I was crying a lot because I really love my grandmother.
Mm.
But I had to accept, and then she kept calling actually, like for I was not answering for 3 straight days because I think she was, and then I said, no, my grandmother will die already. I mean, I have accepted my grandmother, and she was still calling. I think she was, because she extorted already. Like, I think she thought she could extort me, but it was already at the lowest point. I have like zero money. I was owing people a bit of money.
It goes to show, like, when those forces, those evil forces, when we allow them to get their hooks in, because we do allow it in one way or another, that it's like we just turn blind. It's like we cannot see.
Ah, I, I'm not usually that kind of person. Like I'm very well in material terms. I'm very intelligent, and I'm very frugal. I don't spend a lot. I don't gamble. I have no vices. You know, well, I don't smoke. Sometimes I drink, but only occasionally with friends. But to think that I would spend my life savings for that, for nothing, for I don't know, for I don't even know what was my rationale for spending that much just to you know have sex with this guy. I can just find another guy or something. I don't know. It's all a blur. Like I was not thinking clearly, definitely. But to tell you the truth, I'm happy that it happened,
Mm.
because if I didn't come to that point of severe anxiety, when I was so down, I would not be open to see the ascend to see that the ascended master teachings is really real, or personally experience that this is real, that the archangel Michael rosary is really real, that it really cuts you free, all even though it's so down. Just that 1 hour before and after, I can, the difference is so staggering. Cannot describe the jump in consciousness, at least initially, because I was free from all these ties. So actually, at that point, I never felt, the incubus or succubus hugging me at night anymore. Just with that one invocation.
And about how long ago was that? Like, just to give us a sense
It
of.
was in 2016, 2015, 2016.
Radio. Yeah.
That's about like 8, 9 years already, I
Yeah.
guess.
Okay. And so tell us a bit about, like the path since then, like, how it's helped you grow and further experiences.
So initially, of course, it's a great teaching, and I really want to share it to a lot of people, but when I share it, they find me weird because what's the violet flame? What? They were all laughing at me, and at that point, I was still not totally accepting about the homosexual desire. So I don't want to share that part, like this part that I've shared right now of how I get into the path, because I still was struggling of my shame and guilt. So it's really Like I never told them the whole story how I went into the ascended master teaching and how it changed my life because of that. But people were not as accepting of the teachings, and no, and then after a few months, I just said, "Oh, I just give up. If somebody asks, I will answer. If I will give my advice also if somebody asks. If they don't, that's okay. But this is my life." So I think after that, I devoured the teachings. I finished the Ascended Master Answer websites in 6 months, and then I was looking at the other sites. But I was actually luckily I was still working in as a resident. So in my first 2 months, I paid all my what I owe to people. And then I was still living frugally. So I was what's really good is because there was so many free resource in the website. Like even if I finish Ascended Master Answers, there was still the Ask Real Jesus website, the Ascended Master Light website, and the Transcendence Toolbox also for the invocation. So I was doing invocations, like really long invocations, at least one per day. I would do the archangel, the spiritual, because after that incident, there was still some dark forces. I could feel they were still attacking me. So I was like doing 1 month of, the overcoming a spiritual crisis, the alternating Archangel Michael Rosary and Mother Mary's
Yep.
invocation of self-esteem. So that really helped me a lot. And I think because I came from a Catholic background, I really accepted, Mother Mary's love more freely that time because I can feel, and I was always asking Mother Mary to help me and to help me get through this because I don't know what's because that at that moment, although there was this clarity, temporary that temporary clarity of Archangel Michael is not forever. Like after some time, like after that incident with the witch doctor, all these things still is within uh my energy field. So it was still, I can just feel it all around. So I have to do the invocations continuously, and I have to look at what the separate selves need. Well, at that time there were still no teachings on the separate selves. Like
Hmm.
2016, so I was just thinking how best to handle the situation, and you know because of the Catholic background helped as well because at least I was able to hold on to Jesus and Mother Mary, which are still, being revered by the Catholic Church, and at least because the voice that is speaking cannot say bad things about Mother Mary
Yeah,
or,
yeah.
or Jesus, because it's part of the Catholic faith that you revere Mother Mary and Jesus. So they were my pillars. I would constantly talk to them and ask what should I do next, what so actually with this incident I feel a much more closer time from them. I always felt a close tie with Mother Mary, but I felt closer with this incident, and she was really taking good care of me.
Mm, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. What a journey. And
Yeah.
I'm just curious, and you don't have to answer this if you don't want to. Like where are you at with with homosexuality now? Like,
I'm still in that process, so it's still there.
mhm,
And from time to time, I would still engage in the sexual activity,
mhm,
but I guess it's much more toned down than like every year. I guess there would be some progress in the sense of looking for that desire because even after the incident there was still this desire, which I still fulfill. But I guess because it was, I feel that I have been suppressing this for maybe not also in this lifetime, but before. So I just have to let it out. And initially, I felt bad every time I do that. Initially, again, even with the teachings. But what made me happy was, I attended. So again, to continue my journey after I've read and devoured the free website, thankfully I had this inner calling to attend the conference, and there was a 2017 conference in Korea, which
Mm.
I attended, and I met Kim there. I met Sandy and Lolita. So it was an MT Montech. It was really nice that there was really this community. So it was at that point that I was already downloading the I had a subscription downloading. The first book that I bought was The Song of Life,
Yeah.
which I actually cried, especially in the dictation of Lady Master Venus,
Oh,
urging they were not called avatars at that time, but the avatars to come back to transcend their consciousness and to ascend. So
yeah.
again, sorry, I was going on a tangent, but I just want to point out that what made me happy that because I still feel guilty because if you can read the teachings, they would still say that homosexuality is wrong. But during the 2018 conference, which I also attended in Albuquerque, and then there was this sharing of, like, there were 50 of us, but there was this like before the conference or at the beginning of the conference, we were sharing where we came from, how we found the teachings. And actually it was the first time I told them, I mean told anybody for that matter, but it was because of almost, well, it was an abridged version, but about
Yeah.
homosexual desires. And then I had a witch doctor who extorted me for money. And then like, I feel so ashamed and guilty. And then Kim talked to me about it, and he said, no matter what the teachings say, I accept you for who you are. I do not condemn homosexual and the homosexual act. You're free to do whatever you feel you need to grow in
Yeah.
consciousness. So I was really very thankful for Kim for that conversation because
Oh,
he basically told me that it's okay to feel this way. It's okay that no matter what, because in the teachings there was never anything. Well, I think they were really firm, and I think that's really the true teachings, that they were firm that you cannot ascend if you identify as a
yeah.
homosexual
But
or
that, because it was exactly the same teachings which drew me in too with homosexuality as well. But I felt like Jesus was giving them in a really compassionate way, which is like, no matter what, like you're unconditionally loved by Jesus and the masters. Like it's just the teachings, yeah, they're just really kind of like it's intense because it's just telling you the truth,
yeah,
which you understand.
yeah,
But
yeah,
I
and
understand, we've got to go through our journey. Like, we can't just sort of rip, because otherwise we're building another separate self to repress what's going on inside of ourselves. So, um, yeah,
yeah. And actually, there was this foundational teachings on homosexuality on the Ascended Master Answers. But I was like, after that, there was no more teachings. I remember there's also, I think there was a questions about it in one of the conference, and the master answered it. They feel that it's not a very important topic for them to deal with at the moment, I guess.
yeah. And we have
Yeah.
enough anyway. Like, I feel like
I
there's
think, yeah, and I think personally, I feel that I can never ascend if I still have this homosexual desires or feelings. And it does help me because I even read a documentary of because I was trying to convert myself initially. I see the Latter Day Saints website. I forget. I think they call it Hope or something about this person who have homosexual desires, and then the parent just told them, "We love you no matter what you choose," and it actually helped him transcend those desires. So I think by accepting that, you know, Kim would accept me unconditionally, that Jesus would accept me, that the community, our community, would accept me unconditionally, even with those desires,
100%. Yeah.
help me in transcending that desires because like now I don't feel that urge as much, but I'm still in that process. I would not say that I have dealt with it 100%. There's still this lingering desires, I guess, that I feel needs to be fulfilled, but I don't know. It's just that I'm just being honest that I haven't fully transcended that part of myself.
And that's the
Which
beauty of the journey, Timothy,
yeah,
that, it's ongoing. And sometimes we just have to accept, like,
I think
what's going on, and I'll
I
do
think
my
one
best.
of the things also that's making me hard is I've never opened this up
Mm,
to family or even close friends. The ones I open this up, I know are also in the spiritual path. So I've never opened this up to any other person who's not into spirituality because
mm,
maybe I think yes, it's also a separate side that I'm afraid of the judgment, the criticism for it because maybe I haven't accepted fully, and only when I accepted it fully and can narrate this. So actually, initially, when you asked me, I was afraid of sharing this, but it's a separate self saying that because I said, you know, if I want to transcend this desire, I have to place it in the open, like in this interview where people can see it and see my struggles, and then um, by bringing it out into open and not burying this desires will help me resolve it in time, and that's my hope.
yeah. And also with, like, unconditional acceptance, like in yourself and your journey, your process, what you're feeling, like you're not trying to change it. And knowing that, like, I unconditionally love you and accept you exactly as you are right now. And I know
Like,
many more people are watching and exactly the same thing. Like um, just unconditional love.
yeah, that's really what I feel with our community, which is really wonderful.
Mm,
Like there's so much acceptance, and everyone has a story to tell, and we never judge where everyone came from or is what everyone is have been gone through.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, darling. It's time for us to
Have to go.
bring our interview to a close now.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah.
We never answered the.
Yeah, we've sort of gone even over time, but it's okay.
Yeah,
We
well, maybe
only
I
get
can just.
like an X amount of time to do this. So um, but the funny thing
Oh,
is whatever story it is that comes out, like, that's the one that's there to heal, for the healing of yourself and to share. So I've enjoyed what you shared a lot. So thank you, Timothy.
connection. So yeah. Anyway, I'm just gonna answer the last question. But I
Okay.
saw this community because the ascended masters would teach acceptance, and everyone has a path. um, there is no judgment on whatever what brought you to the path, what you are experiencing right now. There's no requirement for us, like there is no you have to go to the mass. There's even like there's so much in the teachings in the websites that are free. that it will take you years to finish everything that's free. You don't have to subscribe in the uh, sound files. You don't have to attend the webinars. You don't have to go to the conferences. You don't have to donate because everything should be done freely. And that's really what I love with the community, and I really love it. And just to add, as I go through my path, I think my role is to share something about spirituality, about the ascended master teachings here in the Philippines, because I did my fellowship training in Sydney in Australia, and then one of my mentors was telling me, "Oh, Tim, do you want to stay here in Australia?" And I was tempted a bit because
Yeah.
Australia country, it has a higher state of consciousness than the Philippines, because there is less corruption, there is less poverty compared to here. Probably I will have a much more better life, um, in Australia. But there was this voices telling me that no, you should go back to the Philippines. That's why I'm here. And actually, initially, me and one of the other students as well, Casey, did a website that did some YouTube videos, but I guess we were disheartened with the so few views, but let's see what will happen. But I know that my divine plan is here, that it's in sharing my spiritual journey here in the Philippines, being here to help the Philippines transcend especially the Catholicism mindset that in the Philippines, what are we proud of? We're proud that we are the only Catholic country in Asia. So yeah, that's my goal, and hopefully in the future we can have more Filipino students also. Thank you so much, Neptune. Sorry for taking so much of your time.
It's
I
okay.
really enjoyed the interview so much. Um,
I told you to flow, so you flowed. It's all good.
yeah, it's still hard, sharing. So I had pauses because I felt some energy as well,
Mm.
resist myself to sharing this experience. But I do hope that with sharing this experience, it will also not only help other people with our intro, but also help me
Oh yeah,
trans the remaining selves that are connected with that incident.
yeah, yeah. Oh, I really appreciate how you've focused in on, this particular part of your journey. I think it's great. It's really helpful. And yeah, it's something I didn't speak a lot about, the homosexuality with when I shared my interview, but I'm glad you have. So, yeah, it's important.
Thank
Okay.
you.
All right, so it's time to say goodbye. So bye everybody. See ya.